my channel and welcome back if you're uh, coming back. Thank you everyone for joining me today for another project share. And as you can see in the title, it's a guest DT project for Cristina of CrislanaCrafts. I have been wanting to create a project for Cristina since she opened her shop for digital kits, and but I think I may have mentioned this before. I work a full-time job, and making journals or crafting and arts is a hobby, one of my many hobbies, and of course the other stuff at home. So I finally had come up to making this project for her. Okay, so let's get ahead with the flip through. So as you can see, it's a book themed. I used the kit primarily the reader. It's a beautiful kit, and also the dreamer. Those are the two main kits I used, but I did use some other images from her other kits. So I picked that image from the reader kit as a book cover because it complements the color of the book cover. And on this side, it's the spine. I made a little peek through window where I picked that grayscaled sketch or drawing of a lady reading. It's a beautiful. The book cover is from the children's book series, Book Trails. And so I dubbed the project Book Trails. I was meaning to title it The Reader, The Dreamer, The Writer, but the title's screaming in the front of the book, so I just called it Book Trails. And here in the, what you call this, the edge of the book, or the other spine, I used the original spine of the book, as you can see. And then on the other side is a cardboard which I covered with a blue gold sheer fabric. The book is very pretty. So it's an embossed hard book cover. I wanted to kind of like emboss the embossing. Gild the embossing in the back cover, but I'm scared I might mess it up, so I just left it alone. But I think it's visible on the video. So this is a lap book, kind of like a folio. Hopefully I'll be able to show the entirety of it spread. So in the inside spine, I'm showing I made a sheer I use a sheer fabric in the window, and on the back of that tag, the insertable tag is a piece of paper on the first book, the first page, or like it's also the end cover of the book, but I ended up covering it, so I got that image to add there. And in here, the left side of the lap book, I did this kind of like folio with thick cardboard, or I think probably a heavy folder. Yeah. And then I covered it with the front cover was a scrapbook paper that I embossed. It's an image of it's a very faint image of the world map. And I made pockets on the inside flap with some lace, and I tucked some vintage old photos and postcards and some of my handmade papers. So my goal in this project is to make a little kind of like collection of books, or a mini or journals, a mini library inside the folio lap book. So this image was from one of the kits, the reader, I suppose. And I played with the color of it. The one was the original, and then inside here, the kind of like the bookend part of the book, I kind of like dimmed the color or reverse it's a color adjustment in the printing setting. So here's the first little booklet. uh, I won't be talking through because I'm just like talking slow. So most of the pages are images from the kits, the two and the other kits that I use. Original book pages or magazine pages, some authentic documents, vintage and antique documents. And the what inspires me to pick those pages are either the theme, the color. Yeah, in here in the center page, I put I think it's a book page from the girl's own journal, I think. And it was saying how to start your own library. I think I should just leave the flip through or just pop in and out. Beautiful image from the kit. And in this pocket, I put it some of the Your Creative Studio stationery papers with scripts in different types of paper. I know this is a French magazine page. Little tuck there. Some spackle stenciling. I have a few poems there that came from the actual book the actual book trails, and some from Ideal magazines. It's a little, what was that, vocabulary card. So these little books are removable. I don't know if I have time, a beautiful image from the kit. And this one is an image from it's an actual book page from the book The Alchemist. So it's a little nod to Christina's heritage. I've read that book, The Alchemist, by a Brazilian author, Paulo Coelho, maybe like 20 years ago. I still have the book and I tore that page, but I didn't want to tear the whole book, so I just picked one image. Some embossed scrapbook paper. It's a scrap from one of the pages I used. Images from her kit. I made those tags from another kit of hers a while back, maybe last year. I think from the roses, and I tried to use most of the tags throughout the project. Piece of scrap from scrapbook paper. I think that's scrapbook paper cover, which I have used mostly in making little boxes to the side of these books, which I'll be showing later. This is an actual book page from the book. An image from one of her kits. I don't think it's from the two main kits. I'll list them in the description box. I tried not to put so much stuff in this one because it's gonna be so bulky and chunky, but I'm showing the places where there are pockets and tucks. So collage, embossed piano paper, some stenciling with texture paste or spackle, a ink dyed paper, some French book page, I believe. That's another image from one of her kits. An antique wallpaper that is like gold, bronze gold. This is an image from the kit itself, some stenciling. And I made a pocket out of those book print with books on a shelf. There you go. When I get a chance, I'll probably show how to remove the thing. And this little these are little books. I had so much fun making these little boxes from um the cardboard of the scrapbook paper. And this one, the inside aligned with a piece of a scrap from one of the book pages I use in the journals. And here's a little tiny mini book that you can use for like maybe writing little quotes or little thoughts, or maybe tearing it out for collaging. And I made those out of the scraps with, I think, one of my handmade papers for the cover, and a little dried flower there. They are like little boxes. And this one I covered with like an embossed brown packaging paper. And the inside was the same paper I used in the backing of this page. And I have a pack of little tiny pieces of ephemeras, die cuts. What else was there? Wax seals. I try to be fast because I don't want this to be too long. And another mini, little teeny tiny booklet. There's a little stamp of I know a monument in Brazil. And this little round journal, Cristina made a little tiny round thin journal before, and that's when I really paid attention to the reader kit, and that's when I like, oh, this has to be the project I have to make for her using that kit. But she did this little tin cover, canteen cover in, I think in an Instagram post, where she embossed the tin cover. And I like adding metals to my projects, but I'd prefer not to buy new metals. I'd rather buy old metals or repurpose. And this is like uh, one of my favorite Cristina ephemera that I do embossing the thin metals. And I tried to protect the edges with the paper so that it won't be sharp and cause to cut our fingers. And I had a little tuck there, a velvet band to tuck the little journal in place. So I used the same closure I used in the main cover of the journal, because it's a little sturdier, because this journal is kind of like thick and chunky. So on the other side, right hand side of the lap book, is another kind of like book folio. And the cover I used was a scrapbook paper, because I had set up this book cover a little while back, except for the few papers that I recovered it again using the kits. And these are embossed with some flowers. And okay, I have created some tall, skinny journals. I think that's what it's called, right? I haven't done them before, except for like the regular size TN insert, which is kind of like skinny and tall. But I think this is a little skinnier and a bit taller, or maybe the same width. And when I started, I made 3 journals. It wasn't this chunky, but when I decorated it, it got so chunky. So I just pulled one aside to make it easier to flip through. So I won't be talking through the rest of the 3 journal inserts. This gent. I had a bit of a challenge making the tall skinny journals. I thought, oh, it's hard to make ephemeras for the tall skinny journals because it seems like it's very long, but I think I managed. And I did a little bit more ephemeras later, which will be shown. It's a nice image from, I think, the Ideal magazine, and I matched it up with that little print and embossing. I like old stuff. That's why I picked that. And besides, there were books set up next to the phonograph. It's a little sheer, kind of like embroidered tool. Some French book pages, a piece of paper from the actual book, and embossed, I think, construction paper. This image was from the Dreamer, and it was wide, but I didn't want to fold it, so I cut it into two kind of like tags, ephemera. I forgot I was gonna put antenna on the butterfly, that's why I had a pin there. And that journal cover was from like a scrapbook that is prepared with gummed up glue, but it got dry already. That was an old one, but I thought it was so nice, and it's a little bit grungy. So 3 of those skinny journals is what I made. Made a little tuck there with a eucalyptus leaf. It's a beautiful image from the reader. It's a little kind of like insert type in there. So I tried making layers even though it's supposed to be a long skinny journal. It may seem that the journal is kind of like filled with images and decorated, but there's still some room to write, because I thought most journalers like decorated journals, but there's still room to write. There are blank spaces, there are ephemeras that can be added with blank spaces, or you could paste over the images or gesso some of the writings. I mix in a little bit of fabric and laces and trims to soften it up because the hardcover is a bit stiff. An antique French leather envelope that I made a pocket and put a full page of one of the book pages. Having a hard time putting it there. So this is a very beautiful Belgian ledger with actual stamps, and not just one stamp. There's a bunch of stamps in that. So I put it in the center page with that little flip of the butterfly page. This is a book magazine page. It's an embossed tissue paper. A little tuck of like some French authentic document. Just a flip out of another reading image. This is the other side of the green-blue French letter that I made into tall page pocket slash tuck. Some more shorter pages and a little lace pocket or tuck on the page. And this would be the third tall skinny journal. And the cover, I made that out of this really thick white vintage ledger paper that I got from Rose Hill Paper. Actually, this was a packaging. She packed my order in this she made the bag and packed it in here. And when I was looking for that particular ledger, I saw it and said, oh, let me just use this as a page. And then I used the rest of the scraps in some of the ephemeras. And I love that ledger. It's very thick. I love printing it. I love using it as a base of tags. Here's a little flip out tag. And this is from one of the kids' eco-dyed print, which is so beautiful. So purple rose printed hanky, and I tucked a little French document that's typewritten in purple. Little playing cards. It's another image from the reader that I backed with avocado dyed paper. A full page, book page, flip out with some stenciling attached to a ledger paper. This is an image from an Ideal magazine which has the bookshelves. Okay, you can still tuck. There's a pocket there. The lace could be a tuck, and of course we could put something inside that enclosed flap. It's a little embossing on a book page. A collage tag, or I think it's actually the printout is actually there. I just covered the one with embossed brown paper because there was a border. This image was from the Dreamer, and I attached it to a writing paper, which is the scrapbook paper that I use in the cover of the map. A graph, notebook, vintage from France. And this is a really grungy letter envelope that's green, teal kind of color. And I opened it on the side to make it like a top-loading pocket, which is kind of ended up being tall. And I stuffed that just like scrap pieces of paper. I reinforced it inside so that it would take in what we're putting in the pocket. But it's really like grungy, as you can see. So the journals are a mix of both. Most of them are old papers, but the prints, of course, are new papers with like older images. And here's the end of the paper with kind of like several tucks and pockets in there. And oh, there's one more pocket there where I put a scrapbook piece of scrapbook paper. The end of this, I wanted this print and I ended up covering it, so I was planning to print it again, but I forgot. I'll probably do it again anyway because I love that it says Le Libre, the books. This is a folder, a thick folder that's green in color. I embossed it with some florals, and then I did the texture paste stenciling over it, so like there are several textures in there. And these are the other skinny, tall ephemeras, journaling papers, cards that I made that can be added to the journal or even used in other projects. But I put it in this little like cardboard case. A rosehill paper, quilted handmade paper that I did a bunch of this for other projects, which is on standby, but I used some of it in here. Forgot to add it into the journal, so I just added it here. Most of these are from made from scraps of the project. embossed tissue paper there, I believe. And I put a pen holder. It's a little tight. I think pen is a little, should probably put a skinnier pen in there, but it works. So, and then on that, I put a little owl with a clock charm. It's kind of like a brass charm. And on the flip of that side of the book is a couple of lace pockets. And I tucked some journaling cards, tags, and some sheets of paper that can be added to the journal or used in other projects. Some of this image, I plan to use all of the images in the kits, but you know, some doesn't fit without folding them, so I just left it. Okay, another, yeah, this one is a beautiful image as well. So it can be used on other, or it can be folded and added as a flip out to, or cut down to size to any of the journals in this project. Okay, I think we're getting close to the end of the video. Thank you so much for spending some time with me and for watching. If you like the video, please hit the like button, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, comments, please let me know in the comment section, and I'll be happy to get back with you. And Cristina, thank you so much for having me as a guest DT for your digitals. It's been a pleasure working with your kits. Again, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful day.